Welcome to AMAI with Chris and Justin. It's Friday, January 26th, and we have a whole stack of things to look at today.
And most of them are AI related.
Hey, for once, we're on theme. How about
Well,
that?
I said most.
Just give it 10
I said most, but because we have 12 different links, we're going to fly through each one of these. And again, Justin hasn't seen these.
I've not seen any of these, so this is going to be new to all of us. So let's start sharing and let's see what we've got. The first one, we're starting up with recraft.ai, create visually consistent graphics. So generative AI design tool. Okay, so this is interesting. This is doing vector-based stuff, not rasterized. So this is like the big thing, right? Because as a designer, I love the idea of generative AI and I love it to produce design work. The problem is it's all rasterized, so you can't really do much with it.
Okay.
So getting to where this is vectorized is a huge step.
But that's only step one. Keep scrolling.
Yep.
So check this idea out. Turn a single image into a stylized set.
Oh, interesting.
So when it says, consistency, it's actually talking color themes, styling,
This
not
is
just
huge, right? For branding and stuff. I mean, this is a massive leap if it works.
massive leap. In fact, I think we should probably do a deep dive on it on a different episode since we have 12 different things to touch today. But you can see, unlike the rest of the image generators, this one you can start with text, generate the image, then you can lasso it, right, and change it just like you could in Photoshop. And then you can work on an infinite canvas, and it's all vector. So this potentially is the coolest image generating tool out there. And by the way, I can tell you that a dedicated image generator is going to be great because right now I use ChatGPT to generate my own images. Yesterday, twice, I had to stop using it for 2 hours until I was allowed to use it again because it said I.
Oh, do you like run out of credits?
I ran out of threshold. They give you like some background quasi threshold when they're busy. If you've used it too much, they stop letting you use it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. This is really interesting. Yeah, we have to do a deep dive on this at some point, but this is exactly what I like to see happening in terms of like where things are going from a design standpoint. It's exactly what I want to see. It's really cool. The biggest acquisition no one's talking about is Zillow buying Follow Up Boss for $500 million in all cash, an all cash deal. By the way, I've never heard of Follow Up Boss. It's just crazy to think about like how many huge deals happen with companies you've never heard of. There's a lot of money out there.
And by the way, we talk about this personally all the time about being bootstrapped and profitable. You can grow these SaaSes and like no one ever knows about you. But this is a real estate specific CRM. Now that's going to have a super deep dive integration into obviously Zillow, which already did. So anyway, I brought this up. This is off topic because you and I did the real estate AI course. And so I figured you would really appreciate the history of this, and you can probably read the rest of it afterwards. But it is super, super interesting.
Yeah, interesting. 12 years. By the way, guys, this stuff takes a while. Don't expect that you're going to launch a thing and in 3 months you're going to go pick up a $500 million check. This stuff takes a decade or two to get there. So, but I love it. And it looks like they go into, I'm not going to read all this because again, we have a lot to look at today, but I do want to come back and read this, just the story. I get fascinated with like the origin stories of these things, right? And like how they, like, I love this, like after 6 months of zero customers, they need a niche down, right? Like, I love those kind of stories because that's the reality of being at a startup is that the first thing that you do is almost guaranteed to be wrong. Very cool. Let's look at Zed. Zed.dev. Zed Industries code at the speed of thought. So this is another kind of AI, and it looks like an AI enabled IDE. And the creators of Atom, it's funny, I've not actually heard of or used Atom in ages.
Well, that's because LinkedIn bought it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
LinkedIn bought Atom, and then essentially it ended up dying after Visual Studio Code came out.
Right.
But their big deal is three different things: speed, and it sounds stupid, but like milliseconds matter when you're typing. So it's the fastest IDE that's out there, right? Then it's got AI generated or hooked into it where you can type prompts and actually kick prompts off from inside your IDE.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Obviously, it's got the normal IDE stuff. But the other thing is it's super connected where you can play multiplayer from a coding perspective and have.
Yeah, and I think this is such an interesting thing, right? Because the whole multiplayer thing is a thing that we do in development. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably, most of you are technical. And so you probably heard of this, but pair programming is a big thing, right? Where you program with another person live, right? So you're talking through it as you write the code, and it helps you both understand it. It helps you solve the problems better. And this kind of multiplayer stuff, you see it in VS Code's got it as well. It's so important because it really does make the pair programming experience so much better. So very cool. Very cool.
So that's it for that one.
Yep. Yep. I like it. Definitely want to try out. There's just so many new IDEs. All right, Facebook. What do we have here? Here's how I made a few $1,000s in just a couple minutes using ChatGPT. First, open up chat, pop in one of these AI copy codes I've developed alongside $1 billion. Okay, a little bit of hyperbole here.
Yep.
And watch this out. It's making copy. Not.
No, actually, believe it or not, it was the video that I just absolutely.
Oh, okay.
The video was so good. It's only a minute, but you can probably put it on 2x.
You can try this lemonade. Wow, it's so good. You should sell it.
If you can adjust the speed, it's probably worth it because it's a little slow. Even though it's 2x it. And then it'll be 30 seconds for us.
Marketing. Just give me all your money and I'll sell all the lemonade.
Big suck.
Here's the wallet.
So the gangsters of marketing were all beating him up, and then he became friends with a robot, and the robot helped him market. So I just thought the video was so good. I didn't read any of the text actually.
I wonder if the video is AI generated. I don't think so.
I honestly, I think it probably is, because there's a couple of little things I noticed. Anyway, the next one.
Apple Vision Pro and Formula One. Okay.
This one go full screen on the video, if you can. The video is so amazing, and they talk about it. It's only 44 seconds.
Oh, I have seen this. I have seen something like this. This is absolutely incredible. I also saw a version of this, like an idea of this where it projected like a football field onto the table, and you could like watch the football like in this 3D kind of environment.
Yeah. So what they're actually saying specifically for Formula One is that they actually they're talking about it right now, so I won't say it. They're saying these are stitched together by multiple camera angles, and they're not perfect, and they actually interpolate. But Formula One is interesting because of the sheer volume of data. They can be 100% accurate on the mapping positioning.
Oh, and yeah, because the cars are so well instrumented.
Everything is super instrumented. Like the players are not really instrumented in most sports, but the cars are super instrumented. So you can have, and so are the actual race maps. So you could have a hyper realistic map and actually watch them physically while watching the screens, and actually dive into each cockpit or pull them up. It's a combination of obviously AI and AR. So this one is on topic and super nerded out.
Yeah, I tell you, like the Vision Pro stuff. I mean, obviously, right now it's just too expensive for mass consumer adoption. But when that price comes down, which it will, it really might change a lot of entertainment for sure.
Yep.
Maze question bank. What do we have here?
This is actually not AI related, but we're both product nerds. So this is a scroll down. It's a selection of questions to ask about your product.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
It's a consumer survey questions, but it's a good, relatively big bank. And it's relatively good,
Oh,
setup.
this is a great resource, especially for folks who are getting into user research for the first time, don't really know what to ask. I give a lot of talks, and I talk a lot about user research because I've done it forever. And one of the hardest parts, is that people ask about, like, what do I ask? Like, how do I have a conversation? What questions should I include? Which is a little weird to me sometimes, because I'm like, well, you're literally talking to them to find out about your product. What questions do you have? Just ask those questions. But this is a great place to um this is a great place to get some inspiration on that.
It's
Really
a
cool.
great resource for a junior. I'm with you, and in a lot of cases, my best learning wasn't from structured surveys. It was from spending 3 hours at a bar with a customer, right?
That's some of the best research you can do is yeah, that kind of thing. Absolutely, especially in person.
All
Yeah.
right, so that was Maze, and I thought
Really
that
cool.
was relatively interesting.
Really
The
cool.
next one is back to AI.
Okay. The AI that plugs your product on Reddit and Twitter. Reply guy. Okay, so this replies to posts for you, auto reply bot, and
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 it
it
takes the
drops your product name.
it does, and it tries to respond in a good way based upon the post context.
Smart. Really. Oh,
I personally love it. I love it.
I love it, but like I just immediately got a glimpse of what the future is going to look like because of this, and I hate it. I
Um,
hate it. All the replies are going to be formulated. Oh man.
but if
What a
honestly, if somebody is asking about your product or something your product could do, you were getting these anyway. It's just people doing it manually. So you're not wrong. You're going to get a lot more.
You're just going to get a lot more. You're just going to get a lot more.
But if they're hyper personalized with AI
Now,
about your stuff, you could actually be solving problems. So
now here is an interesting thing, and I don't know if they're talking about this here. I think they are. But this is actually a really fucking interesting use, which is instead of just promoting the product, this here is like providing support.
mhm.
That is actually a real valuable game changer, right? Because now if you can federate out support in an automated way, I mean, what a panacea. That's incredible.
I am super excited about this one, and I'm keeping it on my short list of things to play with. Look at the pricing real quick, because I actually think the pricing, it's a combination of cheap and expensive. So it's how many keywords are you following and how many replies are you allowed for how many projects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 100 keywords is relatively easy to do if you have a complicated project or product, right? 1,000 replies is relatively
100 is a lot, but yeah, I hear you.
1,000 replies is both a lot if you were paying a human to do it, and yet almost nothing if you're paying a robot to do it.
True.
So
Yeah.
I think the pricing is interesting. And it makes a lot more sense in the yearly because they're doing an aggressive pricing plan from a yearly.
Yeah, like quick back in the napkin math here, right? Like 199 a month, 1,000 replies, right? So 20 cents a reply. So it's interesting if you start to think about the math there. So let's say that you can get let's be pessimistic and say you can get a 1% conversion rate on these, which is probably not pessimistic. It's probably pretty reasonable. A 1% conversion rate based on these replies. And so you spend $20 dropping 100 replies out there, and you convert one user at hopefully more than $20 a month. The pricing feels fine,
Yeah,
actually. Think about that.
agree. I'm not saying the pricing is actually expensive. For
Yeah.
what it does, I think it's pretty reasonable. But as a computer, it could be a way cheaper too, right? Is my point. Yeah. And
so this is so interesting, right? Because it brings up the whole thing about Oh man, we don't have time for.
No, we don't. We got to go to the next one. I just keep this on your short list.
But real quick, let me just say this, and then we'll go to the next one, which is that it's as the price of this stuff goes to zero, which it will over time. We've talked about this multiple times. Price of energy, price of everything's going to go zero. There's going to be this tension between, yeah, but I'm providing value, right? Value-based pricing versus cost-based pricing is actually going to become more and more of a conversation. We'll have that conversation later.
Agreed. And I think we should actually end up doing this in another episode where we take the free tier and we plug our own show on Reddit.
Oh, I like it. Oh, I like it. That's a good idea. We should do
that. So this one's interesting.
Okay, so this post from Marie Poulin.
If you don't know her, she is really big in the Notion space and creating Notion templates.
Yep.
But because of that, one of the things, the way she got that big is she does a ton of video and audio, content, a lot of YouTube videos, instructionals, and those kinds of things. Okay. So we've always complained about the process of loading stuff. This is her process for loading stuff. And she was having a hard time describing it. So she sent her mind map of her process to ChatGPT to diagnose. And ChatGPT started to break it down.
Sorry, I'm having, I think my machine is like hurting right now. Okay.
So she uses Zapier. She uses a number of different tools, right? I guess books it on SavvyCal. It's entered into Tally form. It goes into Notion, which creates a page in ContentDB. The podcast is recorded on Riverside, and so on and so forth. But if you look at the complexity of the flowchart, it's really fascinating how smart ChatGPT can be in diagnosing these complex things and documenting them. That was my only point. Is like,
well, and it's also interesting because you can kind of like cheat a little bit on this process. You know what I mean?
I sent it to you for two reasons. One, I think we should look at it, and two, it was cool AI. This is a very good post.
Okay,
I'll let you quickly read because this is really based on the last conversation we were having about enterprise AI.
From Santiago, 99% of AI applications are cool-looking demos. I don't disagree with that. Impressive, but don't get fooled by the hype. It takes a lot to build enterprise-grade products that deliver real value. I have at least 3 weekly conversations with companies that want to use a large language model with their data. The demand is huge. Here's one idea about what you can do to help. The use cases that most of these companies want to solve are similar. They have an extensive knowledge base and want to build a simple application that uses that information to answer questions. Yep, we see this all the time. In other words, they need help building a retrieval augmented generation or RAG applications. They can use them in different scenarios to train new employees, help support team, blah, blah, blah. All this, I mean, use cases that we know about, right? That we talk about all the time. How we're building these is not straightforward. I mean, that is not true with GPTs now, but fine. We'll just, we'll take that at face value. Here's the idea. Today, you can build an enterprise RAG application without writing code. A couple of MIT PhDs, created Stack AI HQ, no-code platform for building applications with LLMs. Cool. So Stack AI.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna look at that in a second. But here's what's interesting, because this is important. Deploy end-to-end production-ready AIs that are SOC 2, HIPAA, and GDPR compliant, and offer SSO, role management, access management, and on-premise deployment. This is all the stuff we were just talking about.
Yeah.
All the stuff we were just talking about. So now we can click at Stack AI real quick and take a look. I didn't even include the link because I knew we would just click from there.
No code generative AI apply. This is the stuff that's going to kill web development eventually. Oh, look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it looks.
I mean, look, this is going to take me a minute to like look at this and understand exactly what's happening, but I get it. I mean, a flow builder where you're going through these different steps and calling different APIs. That is really interesting.
But again, the biggest parts are there's white glove service available with PhDs, right? If you needed to go to the next level, there are enterprise level security things, which are not necessarily offered everywhere else.
Yeah.
So I think because this stuff you don't see on almost any of the AI sites.
Well, you certainly don't see things like SOC 2 and HIPAA.
Correct.
right? I mean, it's so hard to get and maintain that level of certification. It's, I mean, obviously, I would want to know more about how they do this and like what their actual compliance is, but it's definitely interesting. This is one to take a look at. Let's look at pricing real quick for this just to see. Okay, so you want to talk about getting more expensive. You want to talk about value-based pricing, right? I mean, the team plan $900 a month. I mean, this is not drop in the bucket cheap software.
No, but 100,000
But
runs. 100,000 runs. I mean,
right,
that's
because I mean, if this replaces an entire developer, then this is dirt cheap, right?
I mean, but 100,000 runs, let's say you're processing invoices and you create a RAG assisted invoice processor, right? You're
Yep.
talking a person, right? That might be $4 grand a month. You're talking a person. And that, by the way, most companies are not processing 100,000 invoices. If you're talking 100,000 invoices, as an example, you're probably talking 5 to 10 people, right? So you replace 5 to 10 people with one person
For less than 10 grand.
And then plus this for less than 10 grand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is super interesting. And honestly, I thought you might need this for your day job as well, because this looks really good.
I mean, anything that can get me to work less. Boy, I hope none of my coworkers listen to this podcast. And get more done.
Well, no worries. We see the view count. They don't.
Nobody wants to. It doesn't matter.
We're talking to ourselves. All right.
Yelling into the void. This is very interesting. That's a really good ad. I need more time in my day to like go deep dive.
But in addition, that one you could do where you could actually host an on-site, which is a big deal. Because it did say.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Right.
They have an on-prem version.
Uh,
That's probably how they do HIPAA SOC compliance, is they say, if you already are HIPAA and SOC compliant, you can host this yourself, and then we will piggyback on your compliance. That's probably
yeah, we'll have to dive deeper into that later. But there's too much to dig into on this particular round. So this one is fascinating. So I have a domain. Oh, I was going to say, okay, you can do that.
Oh, I'll try your domain.
No, that's fine. Check this out. This is actually super useful.
Okay, so this is investing. For those of you who don't know, this is a project that both of us used to work on together. But we won't go into more detail.
Okay. Now wait. Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't. I thought it did multiple.
No, daisy chains. The daisy chains. You're talking. Okay. You're looking for a theme. Which, by the way, guys, I'm an SEO nerd at heart, and I've actually talked to Justin about this stuff for this particular site. So you couldn't get better. How to manage investment type and market condition. Click that. You're just gonna. This blows me away. Absolutely, 100%.
Exactly your thing. I mean, this is exactly the kind of shit that you talk about all the time. Yep. This is exactly.
But wait, no. Now it takes these keywords on both sides. It created those, and then it created all the permutations of it. And now you can click generate articles. Now you can't do the generate articles without paying, but you're going to get an article for each one of those. You will literally crush it. Okay, now before we go to the next link, go to the one after that on LinkedIn.
Okay. All right, the LinkedIn.
The Jake. Yeah. Okay. So this. This is actually somebody doing that. So walk through his case study real quick. This is AI content. I think that's a slider, right? Or a carousel.
Oh, is it? Yeah, it's carousel. Yep, thank you. Before you click away, here's the GA4 data for these results. Okay.
Choose the product or lead, right? Fine. Your goals, conversions, whatever. So he's walking you through how to look at Ahrefs and find the words that would matter for you, right? Go through this process. Keep going. You're going to love this. Now he goes to Byword AI, which I happen to just show you, right? So keep going.
Optimize to do this. Then 50 post pages. Wait for results.
So 5 months in, after generating all 350 pages, he's getting 220,000 page views a month.
Wow.
So at about $4 a page, right? So let's call it $1,600, $3.20. There you go. In one day, he now has a site generating 1 million organic traffic after 5 months.
Which, by the way, if you get 1 million organic traffic, guys, you can monetize the hell out of that.
Yeah. So.
Wow. So it works.
So
I do want to have a conversation on this show at some point. Maybe next week we could talk about this, about playing out the scenarios into the future of, like, as this kind of stuff gets more popular, like what happens to our experience on the internet? What happens to the success of these kind of things? Like, where does this go? I kind of like want to walk through that thought experiment, like the Reddit reply thing, this kind of stuff, right? Like there are some, I feel like, big kind of evolutionary consequences that come down the line here that would be fun to thought experiment our way through.
I think we can have a really good conversation about that. All right, so you can go to the next one. Sorry, they were too close. By the way, coincidental. I wanted to show you both of those, and I didn't even realize at first that they were about each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, wait a minute, I already have this link on my queue. You got to be shitting me. Like, it wasn't like I saw that and then saw this.
Right. I mean, it just shows where all of this stuff is consolidating and like where all the interest and all that heavy market activity is, right?
Yep.
You're starting to see stuff.
Yeah. So these are AI hook prompts. So they have prompts like, I want a controversial take on X, right? And then generate your content. And again, this is exactly what we talk about, where this is really just a prompt template that's been well managed.
I mean, this is
so
the phrase viral hook templates. It like rubs me in a really good way and a really bad way at the same time.
Should I tell your wife?
No comment. Interesting.
Yeah. No, it's, again, we've talked about the curation of prompts and the idea of prompts that have selectable things instead of just text inputs. And this is kind of a really nice one wrapped around the idea of viral hooks for different social media. And so I think this is awesome. I'm not taking away that he's probably got fantastic prompts behind the scenes. I actually think the way his UI works is really, really interesting and really, really nice. And again, super cheap, $20 a month. In fact, you can do it free, right? Like, but $20 a month for the 100,000 words. I mean, that's a month's worth of content with no doubt. And you'd be paying somebody essentially, $3 to $5 grand to do this for you if you were paying a human.
Pretty crazy. I do think so. Another topic that we should queue up for a conversation some morning is the productization of prompts, right? That's what we're seeing, right? Prompts are becoming products in another own way. It'd be interesting to also think through what that means, right? And where that goes. Because that's exactly what this is. It's just prompt productization. Huh. Really interesting.
But we like, okay, so we hit 12 different web pages, but we found 4 different tools that I think we should look at deeply after in separate episodes. Type prompts, recraft AI for the image generation, reply guy for the Reddit reply bot, and byword for article generation. 4 different tools. Guys, I found all 4 of these yesterday. Like, the pace, okay, maybe over 2 days, right? Like, okay, fine. The pace of change here is crazy.
It's crazy. Cambrian explosion. And again, we're still early.
We are. We are.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about Stack AI. Okay, so sorry. We found 5 different tools, really.
Yeah.
That we'll probably want to dive into. So I think that's it for this morning. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Great stuff, y'all. We'll see you soon.